Hello everyone, it's me, wait a minute, I'm not James Turner. I might have a similar accent, but I am not James Turner. Today we are doing something a little bit different. As you can see, I am on James Turner's website, and we are about to do the James Turner Sims 4 Build Challenge Generator. I haven't generated the thingy yet, so let's generate that. And see what we are going to deal with. I'm a bit scared about this. So this is our challenge. Build a historic house. Okay, not my usual, but that's fine. Must have one floor, doable. Build on a 20 by 15 lot. Okay. Oh no, your owners are 7 roommates. They love electronics. They're afraid of brick. They must have their pool. And the budget is 34,820 simoleons. Oh no. And optionally try searching shell on the gallery. The first result that comes up you must build with. So, okay. I am now having a look on the gallery for a shell. It needs to be a 1-story shell on a 20 by 15 lot. So this is the shell that I have found. Thank you very much to the shell maker. You are the well, the maker of my fate, I guess. And I did delete the roof on the shell because I didn't want that roof. It wasn't going to suit a historic house at all. So yeah, that went. I had to delete that. And let's see what I do to make this a historic house with 1 floor on a 20 by 15 lot for 7 roommates. They love electronics, afraid of brick, must have their pool. Oh man, and that budget is a killer. The size of the house for 7 roommates is a killer. Oh boy. One of the hardest parts for me for this was actually working out, I mean, not only being able to fit in 7 roommates. I did 3 couples and 1 single. Is how I ended up dividing the roommates up. But yeah, just working out how to do like a historic vibe house. That was one of the toughest parts for me. I was just like, oh, I just don't build. I mean, I build the odd sort of like Victorian or that sort of vibe house, but usually more gothic-y rather than historic. So I was having a wee look on Pinterest, and I got like a little bit of inspiration in terms of how like to do the roofs and what windows and stuff to use. And yeah, so hopefully I get the vibe right, but look at the size of the shell, and I've got to fit 7 roommates in there and a pool. It is so tiny. It was such a challenge. It was so tough. James Turner. I'm shaking my fist at you, James Turner. You're a wicked man. You did wicked things with that build generator, I tell you. It was so tough. But it was also a lot of fun. So I say it was tough, but it was also super fun. I really enjoyed the challenge of trying to work out how to make this work. Because I was like, oh my, this is really pushing me out of my comfort zone, that is for sure. So I'm just having a wee look at, the colours and trying to decide what colour I wanted to do the house. So as you can see, I've sort of got a grey roof and a dark, well, it's a dark grey blackish roof, and I went for a darker blue, more mid blue I'd say than a darker blue. It's not like navy or anything like that. I had a lot of trouble trying to work out how I wanted that little balcony to work. I was just really super unhappy with it because it's like bits hanging over, and I was just like, this is not working for me. I am unhappy. So it took a lot of fiddling around just to work out how I wanted to do that front area. But I think I was quite happy in the end with how that worked out. And I noticed like on the historical builds and stuff, they have those little roof trims with the points on them, and like those little pointy things at the front as well. So I did have a play around with those as well, just to bring that look into it, and the corbel as well. I was having a play around, see whether or not that would work. I was not happy with that roof. Like none of the roofs were really exactly what I wanted, but I think I came up with a happy medium in the end of what worked for me as far as the historic house went. But I did have to change the color of the walls on the exterior to make that roof work. I just could not make that roof work with any other color really than white. was a bit tricky. So I'm just bringing through a little bit of an interest point to the back of the house as well. I didn't want it to have like a plain back of the house, but yeah, we'll see what happens there. But I don't think I keep it like that. I'm pretty sure I don't. I think things will change around again, because I just was not happy with how that roof was coming out at all. Yeah, it just was not working. It's quite a tricky challenge getting these roofs right sometimes. So I'm just having it again once a little play around with having what is the word for it? You know, when you have little things in the roofs, little room picking out things. Room picking out things is what I'm officially going to call it. So I was working on that, and a roof picking out thing. A little room on the top floor, a fake room on the top floor. So then I had the exciting challenge of trying to work out how to fit in 7 roommates into that tiny little house. It is not, it's like, it's a starter house size, right? It is so small, and I was just like, oh my, and I was trying my best to make the double beds work so that like the couples could still woohoo. I couldn't do it. There wasn't enough room in this house for me to be able to have 3 double beds with enough space on either side and have doors going into the room, plus be able to fit a bathroom and kitchen and a lounge with electronics and a pool. I couldn't fit all of those things in and still have it so like there was room on both sides of the bed for them to woohoo. So I'm really sorry about that, couples. You are not woohooing in this house. No woohoo in this house. Yeah, it's a bit sad. The budget actually, of all the things, was the least challenging part of it. Funnily enough, the 34,000 was okay to work with. It actually worked pretty well. It was just the challenge of fitting in all of those people into that tiny space. That was the jigsaw puzzle in this particular build. So I'm just having a play around with the bathroom. I wanted to make sure there was enough room for a sink and a shower and the toilet, because those are your essentials there. And I just used the wall shower, obviously, so that the Sims could still walk past and get through to the toilet. And I did play test it, so it all works as far as I could tell. So I'm just putting in like a little shelf here. What I wanted to do was just basically have it like an extra bit of space. Well, not an extra bit of space. I wanted to utilize the space above the rubbish bin is what I'm doing here. So I put in a little shelf, and that way I could basically decorate, have some of the kitchen clutter on top of that shelf, and so it wasn't like wasted space. That was the whole idea behind putting the shelves in that particular space. And then so I'm just doing a little corner nook for a living room, and then there's 7 people and a 2-seater table. But it is what it is. You know, I didn't make the rules, I'm just following them, doing my best to follow them anyway. I don't know if I succeed. So look, tell me in the comments if you think I succeeded in actually creating a historic house. Like the inside with the clutter and stuff, because I love electronics. I mean, I tried to decorate it with like the wallpaper and stuff historically, like with the flowery kind of wallpaper and the flowery kind of beds, but as far as their belongings, I couldn't make that historical. Obviously, I mean, the clutter I've got to work with is the clutter I've got to work with, but yeah. Also, I mean, you know, they're modern people in a historic house, so that's what I went with, and that's what I kind of feel like I got, but I don't know if I did actually get it. So if you think I did, or if you think I didn't, just let me know in the comments. If there was something else I could have done to make this more historic, it would be great to know. But this was such an excellent challenge. I loved it, all the while cursing James Turner for being a devious man who has, yeah, really pushed my building skills quite significantly in this build. So as you can see, I've got quite a lot of clutter up in the top area there with the shelves for the home decorating kit. Put like the cooking books and stuff up there. So I mean, I do actually fit quite a bit of stuff into this small space, I think. You know, it looks lived in, and I really like that. So I'm just working on what I want to do on the walls and the colours that I'm going to work with as well. And I was very conscious of having the electronics all around the house too, because that was part of my challenge, is to include as many electronics as I could. So I wanted to make sure I've got at least a stereo and a couple of TVs. I didn't have room for a microwave, there just wasn't space for it in the kitchen. Unfortunately, that was something I did want to add in, but I couldn't add in just because of space reasons. So yeah, I think I did alright. I put some electronics in there. There's no way I could fit a computer in here. No, I couldn't fit a computer in there. Oh, and then I had the problem with the windows. So it took me a while just to go through and decide on windows. I actually decided on the Strangerville windows of all things. They wouldn't have been if I was thinking about it, it's not something that I would have picked off the top of my head, but I actually think they worked, so I was really happy with that. And this is the point where I decided that I was not happy with how this was laid out and ended up doing like a wraparound porch around to the side, and then doing the pull down the back, because I couldn't work out how to fit in a back door. I'm going to be real honest, that was why. I just could not work out a back door. Like, just with the way I had to lay out the house, there was absolutely no way I was going to have a back door coming out of a bedroom. I was like, nope, that does not work. Changing that, so voila. And then we have it. I have a much improved roof. I was actually so much happier with how that came out than what it was. So it was a very good change, and I think, yeah, it was the right thing to do, moving the pool and doing a little wraparound porch and stuff there. It looked so much better, so much better. So I was trying, what I was fussing around with here is trying to have that porch as a separate room, but ended up having to build that first and then doing the extension on the porch there just to make that work. And going the stairs down the back, and that just gave me a little bit more space on the back, in the back yard area anyway. And also I wanted to have a little bit of space for a barbecue, so that made sense. And then I've got the fun job of trying to work out the wallpaper. This was difficult because it needed to be kind of, you know, olden school times. It needed to be historic, so, you know, and they kind of had that flowery or overly elaborate kind of wallpaper or plaster, you know, that kind of thing. So that was the vibe that I was going for, and it's that kind of difference between the modern roommates and the historic house. So, you know, their belongings are kind of modern, but the house itself is not. So there will be a contrast between those two things. And yeah, so this is just me working out rugs and wallpaper and beds and what I'm going to put in where. I ended up changing the beds again. I was just not happy with the way the beds looked. I thought I just wanted something more flowery, and I was like, no, that's not working for me. I'll do flowery beds and then have plainer wallpaper. So I'm putting in flowery wallpaper here, and then I think I change it again when I put the beds in. I'm like, flowery beds, I don't know. It was a challenge, man. It was so hard trying to work out how I wanted this to all go. And yeah, as I said, I just could not work out how to get these beds. The house just simply wasn't big enough for all the beds that I needed. So it is what it is. 4 beds, 7 people. I mean, it fits sleeps 7, so I think tick, goal accomplished in that side of things. So as I said, I went for flowery beds, and I did plainer wallpaper with the more elaborate plaster on the tops and the bottoms of that, as I felt that was more sort of the historic thing, and flowers obviously bring in with the vibe of the house. And then I've got the fun job of working out the rugs for under those. I really struggled with that because the flowery rugs kind of ended up being too much. if you know what I mean. So I was like, oh, I really probably need to plane a rug. It took a long time of flipping around trying to work out what I wanted to do for that, but I got there in the end. Oh, and then there was the curtains. So it was actually really challenging trying to get the balance between flowery things and not going overboard with flowery things. Yeah, that was a good time. But that rug actually ended up being really good. It was a plain rug. I missed what set it was from. I was too busy thinking about curtains, but it was a very, very good rug, and had some good colours that worked with the beds, so I went with that. And then, so with the historic houses, I mean, they had the big, weighty kind of drapes in the rooms, so that was the vibe I was going for with the curtains, is that big, heavy kind of drape. Yeah, there we go, and that's the drape I ended up going with, because I was like, wow, that fits the bill perfectly. There's a nice top on it, and yeah, it's big and it's heavy, and it's that historic sort of keep the sunlight out vibe that seemed to be popular back in the day. So that's the single room there. So I just went for a little bit of a fancier bed there, and used a pop of red in the rug, and I think that looked really nice with the flowers that were on the bedside as well, because it was a nice plain bed, so I could go, you know, a little bit bolder on the rug, I think. So that's nice. And then I had the lovely challenge of the bathroom. I wanted to put more stuff in there, but as you can see, it is tiny. It's just like an L. It's an L shape, and yeah. So I was having a wee play around with the shelves, and I just took a little bit of fussing around to get the right height on those, so they sat right in the back there, and that the toilet was still usable. So sampling some towels and some knickknacks in behind there, and a toilet roll holder, because you always need the toilet roll holder. And we've got the mats as well, and you can get past that bath holder thingy as well, because I had one of my guys go and use the toilet, so that was all very usable. And we got the towel, and he used the sink as well, so you can get past the towels fine. It is a tight squeeze in there, and for 7 people it's a dreadful bathroom. but oh well. I fit everything in, and that's the main thing. And having that dream home decorator shelving was just like, it made such a big difference. And as you can see, I've still got like 10,000 simoleons left, and I've basically got all the furnishings there. I've got a majority of the landscaping done, so yeah, I did really well with the budget. I didn't really struggle with that at all. I actually ended up realizing when I went to save it that I hadn't done the budget early enough in the build. Like, I'd build a couple of rooms before I did the budget, so I actually ended up needing to change the build a little bit at the end, just to get rid of, I think, a couple of thousand simoleons worth of stuff. So there is a couple of little changes on the gallery when that goes up, which I will do ASAP. But it's essentially the same house anyway. I just had to tweak a few things just to get that on budget, like I meant to. But as you can see, I mean, there's so much clutter and bits and pieces in here. It's not like I was really struggling with the budget. So, I mean, I've even got an expensive TV up there, and I've got a smaller TV down there. So, you know, a couple of TVs, a stereo, that sort of thing. I've got plenty of decorations in the kitchen. I love those counters from the Realm of Magic pack. I really do. I think it's one of my favourite kitchen counters. I think it's just pretty. So there. Alright, so just getting some bits and pieces in the clutter. I actually wanted a specific piece of clutter, which was it's like this one here. It's got like the letter storage holder and the keys and stuff in it. It came with one of the clutter packs. I really like that particular piece of clutter, and I wanted to put it in there. So then I've got the fun of trying to work out what I wanted to do with the landscaping. So I've got 6,500 or 6,000, 5,500, it's ticking down very quickly, left on there. So I wanted to put in some seating on the porch, and obviously some flowers and stuff, and a barbecue area as well. So that's what I'm going to work on now. I'm just working out what would be suitable for the porch. I did have to change some of this due to the budgetary reasons I just talked about before, where I stuffed it up a little bit. I forgot to change the budget before I started building, because I'm a genius like that. Anyway, I got it right, so that's the main thing. And I did like a big home decorator couch all joined together there on the back porch. I think that'll be lovely to sit on in the evenings, and it's nice and big for the 7 roommates to sit on. I mean, that's perfect. Getting a bit of lighting in as well, so it's nice and bright for when they're enjoying the evenings and they want to attract all the moths, as you do. I don't know. So just getting some decoration onto the porch, just adding a bit more colour and life to it. And now working out what I'm going to do with the landscaping. So I don't think I did I actually didn't go too wild on the landscaping. I ended up going like a little bit more contained. The contained look is kind of more in the modern era, but I think it was very much the contained vibe in some of the historic houses as well, where it's like, this is the specific area for the garden, and we have a gardener who trims the bushes and looks after the garden, you know, that sort of thing. So that was kind of my thought process behind how I did the garden in this particular build. And I mean, not there was a lot of room for garden anyway, but that was what I was thinking when I made the garden, rather than going for the wild kind of English garden, which, you know, was the other possibility you can do with historic houses. I went for the more contained look for that, for the garden. And I'm just working through what tree is going to work here. I wanted to have a tree kind of sheltering the barbecue area as such, so I'm just working on what I wanted to do there, and if I was going to have like a little garden running down the side. It's just kind of like a bit of an awkward space. I was like, what am I going to do with this space? It's kind of weird, but I found this flowery thing. I can't quite see what pack that's from, but it ended up working quite nicely there. It's kind of like the other, it's almost L. It's kind of curved, but it's kind of L-shaped. I don't know. It's got a nice curve to it, so it goes around corners quite nicely. There's a base game plant like it. It's kind of like a different pack version of it with flowers. I did have to change that little garden bit a little bit when I had a little tweak to reduce the cost of things. But wow, I think we're about done. Look at that. I think that came together really nicely. I think it does look kind of historic with the, you know, it's got like the spandrels and stuff and the pointy things on the roofs, and yeah. And I think the colours, I mean, a lot of the historic buildings had the white on it, so they could just whitewash the building, you know. It's easy to maintain. It's fresh look. I was just spending the last of my budget there, but then, you know, it ended up being irrelevant anyhow due to my snafu. So let's take a tour. There it is in all its beauty. I like how this came out. I was actually really proud of myself for what I did. It's not my typical build. I have built things similar to this, but not so much with the focus on the historic aspects with the stuff on the roof and bits and pieces. So I was really happy with how this came out, and I think for a 7-person house I did a really good job on a really limited budget on a small lot with a small shell. Yeah, I'm super happy with how this actually turned out. So yeah, but boy, it was a challenge. So there's our kitchen, there's some of our Sims out enjoying the kitchen, and then there's some in the bedrooms having a snooze. There we are, and there's our house. So I want to thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the speed build. I had a lot of fun making it, even though it did make me sweat, and yeah, it was a challenge. Drat you, James Turner, and your Machiavellian ways. Okay, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video. Bye.